First item is call the roll.
Board Member Jansen.
Yes.
Board Member Seifert.
Yes.
Board Member Wool.
Here.
Board Member Wangler.
Here.
And Chair Clark.
Yes. Thank you. We are all present, so we've got a quorum. First item on the agenda after roll call is approval of the meeting minutes from the August 7th, 2025 meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review those? I would entertain a motion.
I move to accept.
We've got a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Commissioner Wangler, we'll take your second. Is there any committee discussion on that? Okay, let's call the roll on that as well then.
Commissioner Wool.
Yes.
Commissioner Seifert.
Yes.
Commissioner Wangler.
Yes.
Commissioner Jansen.
Yes.
Chair Clark.
Yes. Okay, so that motion carries. The next item on the agenda is public comments on items on the previous Board of Adjustment meeting. We do not have anyone present, so we will pass to the next item on the agenda. We've got a variance request by the University of Mary subdivision. If we could have staff present that, please.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Clark, board members. The University of Mary is requesting a variance from Section 1404-017 of the City Code of Ordinance from the rural residential height limits requirement to increase the building height for a proposed athletic dome from 50 feet to 80 feet. The property is located within the rural residential zoning district. Uses permitted within this zoning district include the education group, and the University of Mary is considered part of that group. The city's zoning ordinance does limit the height of non-residential principal structures within this zoning district to 50 feet. The public has been notified of this request. 81 postcards were mailed to the owners of nearby properties on September 19th. To my knowledge, we have not received any inquiries regarding this request. Pursuant to Section 140602 of the City Code of Ordinances, this board may vary or adjust the strict application of any of the requirements of the zoning ordinance in case of an exceptionally irregular, narrow, shallow, or steep lot, or other exceptional physical or topographical conditions by reason of which the strict application of the provisions of the zoning ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship that would deprive the owner of reasonable use of land or building involved, but in no other case. No adjustment in the strict application of any provisions of our zoning ordinance shall be granted by the board unless it finds the following: that there are special circumstances or conditions that apply to the land or buildings that do not apply generally to land or buildings within the neighborhood and have not resulted from any act of the applicant. That the strict application of the provisions of the zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of reasonable use of said land or building, the granting of the variance is necessary for the reasonable use of land or said building, and that the variance as granted by the board is the minimum variance that will accomplish the relief sought by the applicant. Finally, that the grant of the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance and will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to public welfare. The applicant has submitted a written statement that identifies their anticipated hardship and explains why they believe the variance should be granted. This document was included within your packet. If you choose to approve the variance as proposed, staff asks that you identify a hardship and modify the review standards or findings outlined in your staff report to support your decision. The applicant's consultant is here. They're on Zoom to answer any questions you have, but before they do you have any questions of me?
I have one question. This was zoned RR. Do you know when? I see the ETA was pre-1980, but
Well, sure. So it was zoned pre-1980. And if I recall, probably 8 years ago, there was a request to rezone this property from rural residential to P-Public, I believe. That request was not approved. There were some other considerations that were made, and some adjacent property owners had concerns with some things as well. So that was not approved at that time.
thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions for staff? Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you.
Okay, and I understand we've got the applicant on Zoom. Will you state your name for the record, and we'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. My name is Jeremy Weeson, an architect with ISG here on behalf of the University of Mary. So thank you for hearing this variance request for this project the university is undertaking. The basis for the request is the accommodation of the needs within the space. So the university is trying to develop a premier athletic complex on campus, and the dome structure is identified to host a number of different events, including soccer, basketball, football, several of which require some height variances in order to accommodate practice, gameplay, those types of things. And the 50-foot variance just does not accommodate the safety or the clearances needed for those athletic events, which is why we're requesting the 80-foot variance. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions that your team might have.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Go ahead.
Jeremy, Kurt here. A couple items. I did a lot of research on the domes, and one of the things that they keep coming back to is the height of the dome is basically 30% of what the width of the building is. So this building's 275 feet at 30%, that's 82 and a half feet basically, is the recommended height of the dome. I'm assuming that's for design purposes, for snow loading and things like that too. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Snow loading, and also to make sure we can get the correct height angles right around the perimeter of the building, so we don't have compromised wall heights at the perimeter.
Is this facility going to be air conditioned? I haven't seen any air conditioning in any domes because of the structure. I see the lights, but
Yep. So currently it is not anticipated to be air conditioned, and this is designed to be a seasonal dome. So there is the opportunity, should the owner wish, to remove it during the off season, which would be
Okay.
the summer months.
just for point of reference for everyone, the tennis center over in Mandan, that's 55 feet. But it's strictly tennis and pickleball, so it makes a difference. Looking at the requirements for baseball and stuff, they recommended a minimum of 60 feet, which I thought was a little low, but they give a range from 60 to 75 or something like that. Softball is obviously a little less, but in any case, what you pointed out, the height clearances on the side in order to play the different sports and so forth was the big deal, so.
Correct. And even with some of those lower ends of the height clearances, there's still lights and things like that that would hang from the structure. So I want to make sure that we have the necessary clearance not only for at least those minimums recommended for gameplay, but also for the infrastructure necessary just to make the structure usable.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Okay, we would normally have comments by members of the public right now. We'd open the floor for that. We don't have anyone here right now. So let's move on to the board's consideration of this variance request. Before we have committee discussion, we need to have a motion on the floor. So I look to you to move us forward. If we do have a motion to approve the variance request, I would ask that the motion include the necessary findings of fact. Is that the universal sign for you've got a motion?
Nope, let's put him in my car.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance. The hardship being, we have a very unique situation in the RR zoning arena that no one ever anticipated we'd have. On a dome being built, and how would they expect to know that, back in pre-1980? They didn't even exist at the time, so the ordinance actually is the hardship based off not being current with what has transpired in the last 45 years. It would be, this would deprive the applicant of the use of the property. This minimum variance would grant the necessary things they need to use their land reasonably. It's a minimum variance. It is in harmony with the general purposes of the institution and the property, and it is not injurious to any of the neighbors.
Second.
Thank you. And we have a second on that. Is there any discussion? No discussion on the motion?
Well, I think it's just important that everyone, they spelled it out really well. The only time you're gonna see the full 80 feet is on the south side, but everyone that drives along the east side of the campus, it is set down in because they've lowered that property down a lot. I see it every day, and I think it'd fit in very well there. And what a nice thing to be able to use to accommodate things, the needs that they have. I mean, that didn't exist 45 years ago, and now it's something they can use and take advantage of, so.
The only thing I struggle with on this whole thing is, I don't feel like this is a special circumstance or condition of the property or the building. The building is a proposed building that doesn't even exist. Like Kurt said, the hardship is the ordinance itself. And I guess my opinion is this probably, if we're gonna grant an exception without having the special circumstances, and that's a matter of opinion, I guess, but I think it's a decision to be appealed to the proper board rather than us. I don't think we have the authority for this, but so I'm probably gonna be a no on it.
Well, I think to your point, there's nothing, this is an institution out there, which is a little different being in a rural residential area. It's not as if we're gonna have 20 of them coming in, because there's nothing else out there at this point. I don't see it in our lifetime, but I think it's a good way for them to be able to accommodate the need and the growth that they have. And in my opinion, this is one of the things that is available to them that wasn't before, and it makes a lot of sense. And besides, they can take it down if they want to, in the summer, not have it up, so forth. So it's really flexible for them, and I think it's important to, try keep it so we can adapt to the needs of the community, and in this case, the school, and things that are coming and so forth. And I think we probably need to look at that ordinance a little bit and probably tweak it a little bit to be a little more current with what's available today that wasn't available a long time ago. I mean, I never thought of them back in 1980, so.
No, and I'm not against this. I think it'd be a great addition to the university, and would like to see it done. My concern is just is the appropriate forum to be making this decision in.
So noted. As a matter of protocol, is it fair to say that this issue's now been brought to the attention of staff as far as reevaluating the ordinance?
Sure. Chairman Clark, board members, as you are aware, and we've talked about it at the table here for a number of months, we are currently reviewing and going through a new zoning code or a land development code. This will be addressed. I don't know, quote, fixed or not. We're still in those early stages of understanding what some different zoning districts that we could create would have different limitations, but certainly this is an issue that has been brought to our attention.
Thank you so much. Any additional discussion by the board? All right, let's take roll on that motion then.
Board Seifert,
Yes.
Board Wool,
No.
Board Wengler,
Yes.
Board Jansen,
Yes.
and Chair Clark.
Yes. Okay, so that motion passes. The variance will be granted, and does that mean construction needs to start taking place within the next year?
Thanks, and great question again. The variance needs to be used within 24 months. The project
24
is
months.
going through our site plan review processes right now, and I'm assuming that they'll submit, if they haven't already, a building permit shortly. So I think they'll be able to accomplish that.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Moving on to item 3B on our agenda, we have variance request by Auditor's Lot S3 in the east half of Section 25, Hay Creek Township.
Thank you, Chair Clark, board members. Lonnie Barth is requesting a variance from Section 1404-1711 of the City Code of Ordinances, our agriculture accessory building height section, to increase the sidewall height from 16.5 feet to 18 feet and a building height of 25 feet to 27 feet for a proposed accessory building. This request is located west of Bismarck between I-94 and Wilderness Cove Road, along the west side of River Road. The property is zoned agriculture and consists of 71.2 acres. The accessory building is proposed to be just shy of 11,000 square feet, 10,943 square feet. The Planning and Zoning Commission is scheduled to hold a public hearing on a special use permit for the building as it's over 8,000 square feet. This meeting is scheduled for October 22nd, 2025. Today, we're just discussing the building height variance as well as the sidewall height variance. The public has been notified of this request, and 16 postcards were mailed to the owners of nearby properties on September 19th. To my knowledge, we have not received any inquiries regarding this request. Pursuant to Section 140602 of the City Code of Ordinances, this board may adjust or vary the strict application of any of the requirements in the zoning ordinance in case of an exceptionally irregular, narrow, shallow, or steep lot, or other exceptional physical or topographical conditions by reason of which the strict application of the provisions of the zoning ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship that would deprive the owner of a reasonable use of land or building involved, but no other case. No adjustment in the strict application of the provisions of the ordinance shall be granted by the board unless it finds the following: that there are special circumstances or conditions that apply to the land or buildings that do not generally apply to land or buildings within the neighborhood and have not resulted from any act of the applicant; that the strict application of the provisions of the zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of reasonable use of said land or building, the granting of the variance is necessary for reasonable use of land or building, and that the variance as granted by the board is the minimum variance that will accomplish the relief sought by the applicant, and finally, that the grant of the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance and will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to public welfare. The applicant has submitted a statement that identifies their anticipated hardship and explains why the variance should be granted. This document was included in your packet. If you choose to approve the variance as proposed, staff asks that you identify a hardship and modify the review standards or findings outlined in the staff report to support your decision. Do you have any questions?
I have one question. As I look at the written statement of hardship, the variance request, the type of variance requested is wall height of 18 feet. This is really two elements though, right?
Yes, thank you very much, Commissioner, or Board Member Clark. Upon review of the submitted variance request, our building team, they're fantastic and very diligent, realized that the building height would also be over the allotment. The building height max for this zoning district is 25 feet. So in doing so, you'll see on the screen here, as well as in your packet, when they did the elevation, the median elevation was 26 feet 3 inches, and we thought just to bump it up to 27, just in case some things changed out in the field. We didn't want them to have to come back to the board if you did choose to approve the variance.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. Any other questions for staff?
Is the applicant here?
Do we have we will find out.
I would have a question.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, thanks, Jenny. Do we have any representatives from the applicant here? No? Okay, do we have any members of the public that would like to comment on this variance request? That's your ride? Okay. She can comment if she wants. Okay. So no, we do not have any representatives from the variance, from the applicant, and we do not have any members of the public testifying on this. So let's close the public hearing on this variance request. It is now in the hands of the board to do as it sees fit. And again, we can have some discussion once we have a motion on the table.
I'll make a motion to deny the variance.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We've got an opportunity for discussion. Is there any board discussion on this?
I have a few, I wish the applicant had been here. I have a few questions that I think are pertinent to this. When they listed the reason that they needed it, they did build up the property to get above the floodplain, but he says the driveway will be considerably steeper, causing the possibility of hitting the top of the door when entering with the RV. Well, you can fill on the outside there, so you get a level platform to back in straight and not have an issue. You don't need an 18-foot sidewall, you only need a 16-foot sidewall. The other issue with the height of the building itself, maxing out at 25, they can easily change the slope of the roof, which I'm sure has metal on it. You can go down to a 112 instead of a 412 and drop that down considerably. Still use they are using a scissor truss. And that, to his other point about having 8-foot ceilings, heights on both first and second floor on his 2-story down the inside there, he would have about 7.5 on the outside, and it would go up from there. You'd have a vaulted ceiling. There's really, from my standpoint, there's no reason that he can't build this and comply with what's in the ordinance right now.
Thank you. Any more board discussion? No? Okay, let's take roll.
Board Seifert,
Yes.
Board Member Jansen,
Yes?
Board Member Wengler,
Yes.
Board Member Wool,
Yes.
Chair Clark.
Yes. Okay, the motion carries and the variance request has been denied. That is appealable. And the next item on our agenda is other business. Do we have other business we need to address?
Chair Clark and Board Member, there are no additional business for this board tonight.
Okay. That's a wrap then. Let's adjourn. Thank you.